Mental health. Do not neglect your mental health. Address recurring issues from the past or persistent concerns in the present. Most of us require psychological healing at some level. Many of our mental gymnastics we burden ourselves with come from rigid thought patterns. Here are some common examples of rigid thought patterns that people often struggle with. Catastrophizing, always assuming the worst-case scenario will happen and blowing things out of proportion. Black and white thinking, viewing issues as either or with no nuance or gray area rather than on a spectrum. Overgeneralization, taking one small example and concluding it applies to all situations broadly without exception. Should statements, beliefs that are rules-based, inflexible, and come with an emotional attachment like, I should. Perfectionism, an unrealistic standard of flawlessness that sets someone up for self-criticism if not fully achieved. Control fallacy, thinking outcomes are completely up to personal actions or behaviors rather than complex circumstances. Victim mentality, always seeing oneself as passively impacted rather than an active participant in life events. Absolute thinking, using terms like always, never, every time, that don't allow for other possibilities to exist. Selective attention, only noticing details that confirm pre-existing beliefs while dismissing anything challenging them. Intolerance of uncertainty, being unable to deal with ambiguity and needing rigid answers or closure. There are several ways that challenging rigid thought patterns can benefit your mental health. It prevents getting stuck in unhelpful ruts. Flexible thinking opens you up to new possibilities instead of repeating the same limitations. Rigidity breeds stress, anxiety and depression over time. Being able to reconsider perspectives promotes resilience when facing challenges. You discover new coping mechanisms. Inflexible patterns can lock you into ineffective ways of problem solving. Changing patterns expands your toolbox. It fosters a growth mindset. Believing your views can evolve parallels inherent ability and self-concept being subject to learning as well. Relationships improve with less habitual reactivity. Challenging conditioned responses to others supports compassion and understanding. Creativity blossoms from pattern breaking. Mental flexibility cultivates potential for innovation in work, hobbies, or expressiveness. Perspectives stay multidimensional versus polarized. Seeing various sides reduces likelihood of extremism in beliefs or actions. Life satisfaction increases with adaptability. Meetings its mental adjustments need supports well-being better than rigidity. Here are some strategies that can help overcome rigid thought patterns. Challenge thoughts with evidence. Examine beliefs objectively versus assuming they're facts. Look for alternative interpretations. Use flexible thinking prompts. Replace always never with often or assign percentages instead of extremes. Consider context and exceptions. Reflect on situational influences rather than one-size-fits-all generalizations. Validate uncertainties. It's okay not to have all the answers and to acknowledge knowledge gaps. Catch black and white language. Replace should/must with preferences to reduce emotional attachment to beliefs. Rely on data not gut feelings. Ground decisions in objective analysis rather than catastrophic assumptions. Notice selective attention. Make an effort to seek out disconfirming details rather than just reinforcing ones. Reattribute outside your control. Reframe events as learning experiences rather than signs of personal inadequacy. Tolerate imperfect outcomes. Accept uncertainty and that striving for flaws is healthier than absolute successes. Check expectations for reasonableness. Be realistic in goals rather than assuming a mythical level of influence. I hope this helped you to consider alternatives to rigid thought patterns. It might nudge you towards better mental health.